Well, it's Tuesday now. Had a little time to think. Time to watch the coach and player interviews. A variety of notes, but this is going to be a little bit scattered, not a nice tidy plot line to today's video. Please bear with me. One thing that was completely consistent in all the interviews, the players and the coaches know full well that the passing offense was not good enough and the passing defense, particularly coverage, was not good enough. They know what needs to be done. So there's no defensiveness, there is no confusion. There is, however, a cat that I need to take care of for a moment. Okay, this is Rockus. You met him once before. He's doing much better, but he's still here in isolation a bit for another couple of days, I think. But he is not allowed to go crawling and rushing about the room and getting into trouble. Okay, some notes on Garrett Green specifically. Yes, he had some bad passes. There's no denying that. He doesn't deny it. But having looked back at some of the game, more of them than I thought were due to pressure and due to the receivers. We all know that most any other time Preston Fox makes that catch in the end zone. I just don't think he spotted the ball early enough, didn't have a chance to get both hands out or make a dive if he thought that was necessary. I think that play, some of Green's play, a lot of the other issues were the atmosphere. We were worried about penalties from the atmosphere and worried about guys maybe being a little too excited, a little too nervous, and we didn't get the penalties. But I think a lot of these other things that were off were because of the big game, first game of the year, national TV night game issues. It just had a small effect, but enough to throw some things off. And of course, we are not going to face that atmosphere again this season, and the players would be better prepared to face it if they had to. Chad Scott on Green, I think this is one of the keys. He was making the right throws. It wasn't like he was going to the wrong receiver making bad decisions. He just missed some of the throws. I think that's more correctable. He did say Green needs to trust his line and the running backs a little bit more. Maybe he broke out a little sooner. Didn't keep his eyes downfield quite as much as he could have. But again, that's also partly an experience issue, and it's a matter of playing one of the top defenses in the country, a defense that is fast. And of course, one of the ways you beat an offense that uses speed is to be fast. Green is not used to playing guys who are as fast as he is. At least not having a whole bunch of guys on the team who are as fast as he is. Coach Brown, Green has to make 100% of the layups. A number of the throws he missed were easy. The screens you gotta make. He wasn't under serious pressure on most of those. The slant to Traylon Ray. Now I thought he might be going to a receiver behind Ray. No, evidently from what Green said, he was going for Ray and missed. Brown also talked about how hard Green plays, and you can see why guys like playing for it. Brown gets it. A lot of the fans don't. They don't get the fact that Brown gets it, but he does. Green talking about himself, I just didn't make enough plays. He knows what the problem was. Again, there is no attempt to avoid the problem. They're straight up, straight on, and I think that is going to be how we get things fixed. He also mentioned that Coach Brown gives him a lot of leeway as long as he doesn't abuse it. So we also have fans out there saying that Brown tries to force Green into his system. That's crap. He is working with Green. He is working with Green's particular talents. Green knows it. Again, some fans don't get it, but Green gets it. So my conclusion there is simply Garrett Green's going to be fine. He will do better in the later games. And of course, he's still, he has some experience. He is in a position now where he can learn from experience. Pardon me again. Okay. He evidently needed a drink. A little early in the morning for me, but he needed a drink. Garrett Green would not have done well by throwing him in too soon. You have to have the foundation in order to learn from the experience. Now he has that foundation. He will get better. His problems are not ability issues. They are experience issues. They are control issues. Not control from Brown, just control from himself. To focus that energy he has and to use it without getting used by it. Some notes on players. If you were wondering why some guys didn't show up in the game, White, Horton, Polk, and Floyd were all injured during practice. We knew about Floyd ahead of time. The others had not been mentioned, but that's the situation. Horton probably will miss a couple of games. And if you're wondering about updates on Asani Redwood, he'll miss at least one more game, maybe two, and then should be able to play when conference play starts. And that will upgrade what is already a very good defensive line. So those who were, I don't know about that defensive line, yeah, guess what? It's a good one. Wyatt Milam sprained his ankle during the first quarter. He should be fine. He came back into the game. Nick Malone filled in for quite a few plays, did well. Didn't notice that, Milam was out. And of course, the announcers were not exactly keeping track of much of anything in the game, particularly where West Virginia was involved. I recognize that NBC has not done a lot of college football for quite a while, but kind of like West Virginia, they got to get better. Coach Brown noted that Rodney Gallagher probably should have played more, which again, that's the good old hindsight thing. If something didn't work, you figure maybe you should have done something different. But they were in a lot of 12 personnel, which didn't really allow for that particular slot receiver. When they were using somebody in the slot, it was mostly Preston Fox. And of course, we all want to see Fox play more. So we got Fox, but as a result, we didn't get Gallagher. That's okay. We'll still be seeing him. And Gallagher was in on some special teams. Another thing Brown noted, our best against their best held their own. And we are talking about some of the top players at their position in the country. And our guys took them on, won their fair share of the battles. Now, arguably, when you get down to the second best, there were some differences. But a lot of that can be cleared up. You may or may not have already heard that they actually switched Koba and Lathan, so that Koba was playing Will, Lathan playing Mike. It was specific due to the circumstances for this game, what they were expecting. Really seems to have worked. Koba had 13 tackles. Lathan, I think, was 6 tackles, and he was at the quarterback a lot. The pressure did not always affect the throws, but we were getting the pressure. They did kind of hint that they might do this in the future, but it does not appear to be a permanent switch, just situational. On the trick plays, when we brought Marchiol in, Brown says, hey, that's on me. He accepts responsibility. Now, I think it's not so much for the play call. I don't think he really regrets that, and I don't see why he should. But the execution was not good. Of course, that's the problem with trick plays, is they're tricky to run. And you don't always have as much experience working on them. The concept was good, the execution was not. Same was true with the earlier trick play. If it had been executed as intended, it likely would have been successful. I don't know if we will see those plays in the future. I know he was just, Coach Brown was going all out to win against a better opponent. You take more risks. He knew that going in. Some of them paid off, some didn't. Now, the huddle on the 2-point conversion, call it a sugar huddle, ring around the rosy, or a gyre. And I like the more formal term because other people are making fun of it with the ring around the rosy crap. Well, hey, that little huddle plays mind games with the defense. Whether you get a few guys over there just thinking, what the F? Or start thinking, is this going to be a trick play? It was a trick huddle. And then while they have, they're not quite focused. It may only be a little bit of the edge you take off. And you run it up the gut. It's not a trick play at all. It's strong running up the gut, and it worked. Remember that. They got the 2 points. Would they have gotten it using a regular huddle? I think so. It's a good line. It's a good running back crew. But they used the trick huddle. They got the 2 points. Stop griping about it. On the missed field goals, people keep talking about it. essentially just being, well, hey, you know, the defense did their job, but if Penn State hadn't messed up the field goals, they'd still have had another 6 points. Well, go look at what the punt coverage team did. They got pressure. They played mind games with the kicker. The kicker didn't necessarily just screw up. He had a little help. So the team was doing its job. They didn't get a block. They got pressure. It helped. Note on Mike Lockhart. When asked about transferring to West Virginia, one of the things he mentioned is that he's being held more accountable. He's being, pushed into doing a better job, working harder. He's a better player because he came to West Virginia University. And if you go back when Nestor first transferred, after his first, camp, he talked about getting more coaching, more details, things he hadn't gotten at VTech. So we have a couple of experienced players telling us that the coaches at West Virginia are doing a good job. Are they perfect? I seriously doubt it. But they are doing things that the players aren't getting elsewhere. So I think that bodes well for now. I think it bodes well for the future. We got to get through the now before the future matters as much. But I think things are in place. And ending on a lighter note for those who made it all the way to this part of the video. And of course, please subscribe, comment, and click the thumbs up, all of that. Cole Taylor's interview, he said some interesting things. And what did I take away from it all? His favorite food is biscuits and gravy, and I like the guy. I'm also hungry. And we don't have any biscuits or gravy right now, so I'll have to cope with something else. Meanwhile, I'll be back either before the Duquesne game, after the Duquesne game, or both. I hope you'll be here and bring some friends. So long.